This is Mac OS Ken.
Another key App Store note, what Ternus might do in the days ahead. An iPhone is one of the only bright spots in smartphones. It is Friday, the 21st of August, 2026. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by CoverOn. Safeguard your identity and save up to 76% off with code MacOS at coveron.com/macOS. This show is also sponsored by Copilot Money, a fantastic tool for keeping track of your money. I miss the way money used to be, when I was a kid and didn't need any. When the $10 my grandfather gave me every birthday felt like $1 million. Money has not been that simple in a very long time, but Copilot Money makes it easier to deal with. It lets you track money coming in, money going out, where you stand on financial goals, and how your investments are performing, all in one beautiful interface. Copilot Money has apps for iPhone, iPad, and the Mac, as well as a great web experience. All synced in real time, and all with a focus on privacy. Plus, you can get help from real people when you need it. From managing the money you have, to planning, tracking, and staying motivated on savings, Copilot Money is the window to your financial life. Right now, you can get 2 months free with code MacOSKen at copilot.money/MacOSKen. Named Editor's Choice in Apple's App Store and featured by Apple as a smart way to save money, you can try it out for no money, free for 2 months with offer code MacOSKen at copilot.money/MacOSKen. Copilot Money, your money beautifully organized. Try 2 months free with offer code MacOSKen at copilot.money/MacOSKen. Another less than stellar forecast for App Store revenue. Seeking Alpha has Morgan Stanley analyst Eric Woodring tracking numbers that show a year-over-year decline in App Store revenue through the middle of this month. It's a small decline, only 0.6%. Still, it is said by the piece to be the first year-over-year decline in the App Store in 4 years. And he doesn't see that improving. Looking ahead, the piece says Woodring and pals do not expect services growth to reaccelerate meaningfully anytime soon, as the App Store faces lower take rates, link outs, weaker gaming demand, and foreign exchange headwinds. Of course, the App Store isn't Apple's only services play. Moves around pricing for AppleCare could soften some of the App Store blow in the analyst's estimation. Plus, there's iCloud, advertising, Apple Music, and other services for which parties will pay. Shifting focus to hardware, Woodring's looking for Apple to build 54 million iPhones this quarter and ship about 58 million. No change in his expectations there, though he did lower iPad expectations. Those he dropped by about 1 million units. He's apparently thinking people will hold off on new tablets instead of paying more for them after this summer's price hikes. Morgan Stanley has an overweight rating on Apple shares. Woodring's price target on the shares is $360. Signs of a two-horse race for smartphones in some markets. That is the word from Counterpoint Research. The market tracker posted a post this week sizing up smartphones in Europe, and another doing the same for Latin America. In both areas, Apple and Samsung saw growth, with declines for every other big smartphone maker. To be clear, both markets were ugly for smartphone shipments. In Europe, Counterpoint says those declined by 10% year-over-year in the second quarter, hitting 35 million units, the lowest Q2 for the region since 2023. Latin American shipments also dropped 10%, with both regions hit by Ragnarok. Higher prices for components led to fewer promotional deals and higher prices for consumers. UGLY. Well, I guess there is an alibi, but Still, on Apple and Sammy specifically, Counterpoint says Western Europe performed better than expected in the second quarter, fueled by a very impressive quarter by Apple and marginal growth by Samsung, both of which benefited from the ongoing premiumization trend. Over in Latin America, Counterpoint says Samsung strengthened its regional leadership, growing 6% year-on-year. Apple grew 5% year-on-year in the second quarter, supported by sustained demand for its premium product. Apple and Samsung were tied for first in Europe last quarter, with each grabbing 34% of smartphone shipments. First place Samsung's lead in Latin America was resounding, with 38% of Q2 smartphone shipments. Apple was a distant fifth, with 6% of shipments, though again, it was the only other big brand to show growth. Want to hear something weird? Tim Cook has under 2 weeks left as Apple CEO. Barron's ran a piece on Thursday that had BofA analyst Wamsi Mohan considering incoming CEO John Ternus with an eye on what he might do differently. First, how we got where we are. According to a note to clients from Mohan, Tim Cook took Apple from a company driven by a small number of product cycles into an institution capable of producing growth, cash flow, customer loyalty, and innovation at enormous scale and product complexity. Among Cook's main focuses was Apple's insanely sticky services segment, and that is not likely to change under Ternus. But he might spend more money than Cook has tended to do. Quoting Mr. Mohan again, Apple has moved away from a net cash neutral objective, which in our opinion could signal a period of higher investment in research and development, CapEx, and larger mergers and acquisitions. Hey, maybe Apple will finally buy Disney. I'm kidding. I hope. Mr. Mohan has a buy rating on Apple shares. Last I saw, his price target on the shares was $380. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Coveron, a single service to protect your identity and finances. There are all kinds of things you can and should do to protect yourself against online threats. Password managers, alerts from financial institutions, staying the heck off public Wi-Fi. Easy things we can all do to keep ourselves safer. Coveron keeps watch for the things that aren't as easy to see. Scanning the dark web for your personal information, keeping an eye out for your login showing up online, tracking changes to your credit or new accounts turning up in your name. With Coveron, you're keeping watch, they're keeping watch, and they're going one step further. No matter how vigilant we are, sometimes bad guys succeed. That's where cyber insurance comes in, which Coveron brings. Keeping watch is important, but when a scam or breach actually happens, that insurance provides real financial recovery and support to help make things right. With Coveron, you are covered. Find out more and use code MacOS for up to 76% off at coveron.com/macOS. Don't wait for the worst to happen. One scam can cost you everything. Use code MacOS for up to 76% off at coveron.com/macOS. COVERON. Coveron, a single service to protect your identity and finances. Use code MacOS for up to 76% off at coveron.com/macOS. Thursday was a big day for one of Apple's services. The 20th of August 2026 marked the 7th anniversary of Apple Card's launch in the U.S. Pieces from Cult of Mac and Mac Rumors marked the day. The Cult divided its post between what a great experience the card has been for consumers and how troublesome it was for Apple Card's first backer, Goldman Sachs. Mac Rumors, meanwhile, focuses on what's ahead. Apple Card is in the process of switching bankers from Goldman to Chase. For current cardholders, not a lot should change. Apple says cardholders can continue to use the Apple Card as they normally do through the transition. Goldman Sachs will keep providing customer support until the card is handed over. After that, Chase will be the bank on the cardholder's credit report. Transition should happen by early 2028, with Apple promising additional details as the handover approaches. This was just going to be an anniversary story. It really does read like a birthday greeting from or for a bank or credit card, doesn't it? I was going to say bad tidings around Apple's spatial computing space, but let's just say more tidings. AppleInsider says it's heard exclusively from somebody said to know something that Apple just laid off a significant number of people dedicated to VR development. It is said by the site to align with reports that soon-to-be CEO John Ternus is putting the category on ice. AppleInsider says a reliable source has told it that Apple has laid off an unknown but significant number of employees tied to Apple's VR team, the Apple Vision Group, and similar positions. We've heard this tale before, says the piece, and while this doesn't mean the end of Apple Vision Group, it is a sign of a cooling off for that category. While I die a tiny bit every time I hear a story like this, Apple might have gotten from the VR team what it needed. Work in that area is expected to eventually result in a set of full AR glasses for the company. That said, AppleInsider says people should expect work to continue on Apple Vision Pro, its future iterations, and smart glasses running Vision OS. For now, there'll just be fewer people working on the headset part. If AppleInsider's know-it-all actually knows it all. News of another returning show for Apple TV with some notable new cast members. The Cupertino streamer issued a press release Thursday with stills and a release date for Season 2 of the golf comedy Stick. Owen Wilson, Peter Dager, Mark Maron, Mariana Trevino, Lily Kay, Judy Greer, and Timothy Oliphant will return for the second season. They'll be joined by Pluribus star and Better Call Saul alum Ray Seehorn, along with Missy Pyle, Billy Zane, and others. If you watched the first season, Season 2 picks up where that left off. If you didn't watch the first season, you probably don't care. Or maybe you're just waiting to catch up, which you can do. Season 1 is available to stream now on Apple TV. The second season of Stick starts with 2 episodes on Wednesday, the 4th of November. And finally today, from a comedy about one sport to a documentary about another, The Dynasty, UConn Huskies, is up now on Apple TV. 9 to 5 Mac has the streaming service saying the documentary event chronicles the rise and dominant program in college basketball history, featuring exclusive interviews with the 2025 national championship team and legendary voices spanning generations of UConn basketball. The series explores the pursuit of excellence, the expectations that accompany sustained success, and the people who upheld the standard across generations. It's not my thing, but if it is your thing, it is yours. All 3 parts of The Dynasty, UConn Huskies, are available to stream now on Apple TV. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Copilot Money. Get 2 months free with code macOS Ken at copilot.money/macOS Ken. This show is also sponsored by CoverOn. Safeguard your identity and save up to 76% off with code macOS at coveron.com/macOS. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macosken at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.